Hi, this is David again, and I wanted to have, I hope, some fun, because light-mindedness and loud laughter is what life is all about. In the Mormon temple, you raise your hand to the square. I don't know why it's square, I guess because it's like straight here. And you promise before God, angels, and these witnesses, I guess it's the group of witnesses, that you will not engage in evil speaking of the Lord's anointed. That gives the Mormon authority carte blanche to say whatever the hell they want to say, and you just shut your mouth. And they say in the temple, bow your head and say yes. Well, I was stupid enough after 50 years of being in that cult to bow my head and say yes. Well, here we are today, and we promised no evil speaking against the Lord's anointed. And God knows, I have spoken evil, and many others have. And no light-mindedness. In other words, you serious? You're going to heaven. You're a Jesus person. You're a zombie. You shut your mouth. You want to get up there with the Lord? Shut your mouth. Yes, bow my head and say yes. And loud laughter. Now, I don't know. I don't know if loud laughter is what I'm doing right now, or if it's okay to go. Jeez, they don't define it as usual, so you could be in deep trouble for loud laughter. All right, so I'm going to engage today in light-mindedness and loud laughter. Now, those of you that are looking from all over the world, Finland, I can't believe someone in Finland is going to look at me. This is stupid, but they do. In the Philippines, what is it, third world countries like this guy? I don't know. But over half of my hits are Mormons in Utah. So, deseret industries. Now see, everything that's Mormon is deseret. The B is the sign of busyness, and God knows that's the right symbol if they've got anything right. It's the B. They're busy as bees, because if they have time to sit down and think, they'll think their way out of this nightmare. So anyway, deseret industries, a sign of the B, sign of the times. Well, in the state of Utah, Mormons are very privileged because they take your tithing money and they use it in Utah. Now, I've been in the Philippines. I've been in the chapel in the Philippines, and I know a couple of bishops over there, and one stake president that thinks I'm an ass. Well, the feeling is mutual. Let me quickly tell you what the stake president and I had a little conversation. It wasn't a conversation. I went to the chapel, which was the stake center in Butuan on Mindanao Island, and attended. And I said to somebody, you know, where's the drinking fountain? I need to get a drink. I mean, it's 95 degrees most of the time in the Philippines and 90-degree humidity. And they said, well, we don't have a drinking fountain. I said, what? I said, our chapels in Utah have 4 refrigerated drinking fountains. No, we don't have one. I go, you people walk here miles and you ride these tricycles, these filthy, loud, dusty tricycles, and you come here with your old women and your babies and there's no water? Oh no, we have water. I said, okay, well, where's the kitchen? I'll just get a drink in the kitchen. Oh, no, you can't drink the water in the kitchen. I go, what do you mean? That's a place that you prepare food. What's wrong with the water in the kitchen? It will kill you. Huh. It'll kill me, huh? Well, all right, how about, where would I get a water? And I go, well, you can go across the street and get a bottle of water, buy it, or there's some in the stake president's office. I said, what? He says, yeah, he has a refrigerated cold water dispenser and bottled water so you don't have diarrhea for 3 weeks. Well, let's go in there. Oh, we can't. It's locked. I said, wait a minute, hold on. You've got water in the building, but it's in the stake president's office and it's locked? Yes. We obey. I go, jeez, Are you people crazy? And I guess that's my answer to all Mormon doctrines and philosophy. Are you people crazy that you have no fresh water to mix a bottle with? No fresh water for this 97-year-old woman that walked a half a mile to get here in 96-degree weather? No. Jesus. Well, I went back and forth a couple of times because I lived there for a little while. And I finally caught the state president in his office, and the door was open. And you can see why, after I tell you this story, you're going to see why I did not fit well in the Mormon church. I'm just not a liar, a thief, selfish asshole. I try to be. God knows I try to be, but I just can't. So I go into the stake president, and he's doing some paperwork. He's got his white shirt and his tie and his garments, you know, and I'm a peasant, non-member, I guess, walking in the way I was dressed. And I said, President, I said, well, he didn't know I was a non-member then. He said, President, you know, I'm from the United States, and we have 4 drinking fountains refrigerated in every chapel up the Wasatch Front. He says, I know. I said, well, yeah, but you guys don't even have a drinking fountain. It doesn't have to be refrigerated, but a drinking fountain. I know. I will say, well, let me see if you know this, that you have this drinking fountain. He said, oh, you can have a drink? Oh, that's right. I'm white and Aryan. I can have anything because the Filipino people are taught their brown skin is not as good as white people, and the Book of Mormon proves it. I said, okay, President, thanks. By the way, why don't you just leave your door unlocked or put the fountain outside so people can use it? Oh, they'll steal it. This is the Mormon people? Well, we don't know if it's the Mormons or other people, but they steal it. I said, well, why don't you just put it outside when you're having meetings and put maybe an Aaronic priesthood holder there to guard the water? No. I said, well, do you think that is really Christ-like? To let these people not have water, but you can have it refrigerated anytime you want? Shit, there's the question you don't ask authorities in a Mormon church. You don't say, by the way, you seem to be an asshole. That's evil speaking. That's evil speaking. And there's the cult training. They're going to slit my throat and cut my stomach open. Well, I've kind of gotten over that shit. And so he says, well, as leaders of the church, we have certain privileges. And I said, well, that may be true. But you know, in those days, I was a follower of Christ. And I said, you know, I don't think Jesus would put this water cooler in here and lock the damn door. Oh my gosh. He jumps up, and I think it was an Indian dance in the Philippines. He was, you know, raising his voice. I'm not going to say he was yelling. He was raising his voice, and they love the finger. I love the finger for them, but they love the finger that you don't have any right to tell us in the Philippines how to run our building and torture and abuse our people. I said, okay. I'm an American, and I'm telling you right now, you're treated differently here in the Philippines than we are in the United States. I said, I've walked your building here. It's a piece of shit. It's brand new, but it's a piece of shit. You've got air conditioning and leaks in your walls and in your tile, and your floors are uneven, and you know, they spend $1 million in the United States or more for a chapel. And we have central air conditioning. What do you have? We have that little unit that hangs on the wall there, but we had to put a cage on it because they steal it. I said, wouldn't it have been better to have central where they couldn't steal it? No, no. The Lord inspired us to have those window air conditioners. Well, let me tell you my testimony, what my eyes have seen and my ears have heard. Not what I've read, not anti-Mormon groups, nothing. I'm a loner, I'm a maverick, and I study for myself. I don't belong to any groups. I never belonged to any groups. I'm not a member of anything on the internet. I am just David. Independent and basically David. The chapels in the Philippines suck. They're shabby construction. Half the time the air conditioners don't work. The microphone at the stage seldom worked. And basically the sliding doors didn't slide. So, Are the people treated differently in the Philippines? You bet your ass they are. Are they treated differently in Haiti? You bet your ass. In South America? You bet your ass. Now, I haven't been in all those other places. I'm going to admit that. But I've been in one third world country, and now I'm going to extrapolate that across the rest of the world. So the Mormons get to use the money that you send them for us Aryan people here to have refrigerated fountains and desert industries. Now, I'm going to try, I can't keep a straight face. As soon as I say desert industries, I have been programmed by ritual abuse, I think, to start laughing. Here's what we have in Utah, and the rest of you have shit. You have nothing. Now, when I was in California, we had a little bit of desert industries, but we didn't have any building, and we didn't have any clothing, we didn't have any desk, we didn't have any of that stuff to buy. We put in an order, and I appreciate this. I'm going to say I was on welfare in the Mormon church, I don't know, I'm not going to give you a number, but certainly more than 2 or 3 times, raising 14 kids. So we would make out the order in California and send it in, and then a big refrigerated truck would come to the parking lot, and we'd pick up our milk and our cans of food and whatever. Well, even California's system is shit compared to Utah. We don't have any storehouses. Now, wait a minute. Let me take it back, because when I was in Los Angeles, God, somewhere up in, oh, God, on the ridge there, what do I want to say, Kahunga. Up on the ridge, there was a bishop's storehouse. I do remember that years and years ago, 30 years ago. But anyway, let me tell you what we get in Utah, and you get this. Because we get your money. We spend it and go to the damn mall. We have these buildings. They're like Walmart. They're big box buildings. And there's one, oh gosh, there's one down in Salt Lake. There may be 1 or 2 in Salt Lake. There's one in Bountiful, one up in Layton, Ogden. They're up and down the entire, in Provo, the Wasatch Strip. Because we're white. Remember, we're white. Black people can use it. But they have to paint themselves white to get through the door. Of course, I'm exaggerating. So, there's times that I go to Desert Industries because it is cheap. There's some things at Desert Industries as a raising a family that I've had in the past, and now even in the future here, I'd rather go to Desert Industries and spend $5 for a plant than go down to Walmart and spend 25 or 30. I mean, that's just common sense. Now, very few things can go wrong with a plant. From Desert Industries, I haven't had them tip over. I've had the fuzz come out of the bottom, and I've had to scrape the price tag of $5 off the side. But now I'm thankful for that. You know, we had 1 meal a day, and I was thankful to get it. So the plants have been wonderful. My house is full of Deseret Industry plants. And they light up like they're from Japan, from the tsunami at night. I guess it's the spirit, I don't know. But I need no night lights because I have Deseret plants. Well, let me, I can't do it. Let me tell you, if you buy anything from Desert Industry that works on a battery or you plug it in, you might as well just write them a tithing check. You get nothing for your tithing. Don't take their crap home because it's not going to work. It does not work. So, I know this, but I'm human. I make the same stupid mistakes. I go, maybe it'll work. I'll give it a blessing and put some oil on it. I'll throw garments over it. The stereo will someday come on. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. So anyway, and my wife, now I haven't said this on my videos yet, and I will. I'm going to do a video. She's as sweet as can be. She's a returned missionary, and she still believes in the Mormon church. And she's married to me. Now this girl has either got no testimony, or she's stupid as a rock. And neither is true. She's smart as a whip, and she's a sweet, sweet person, because she puts up with my crap. She does. So, anyway. My sweet wife, who is the Mormon, says to me, honey, you know not to buy anything here that plugs in. I go, I know, but maybe one day I'll get one that works. And she looks at the ground, bows her head, and goes, no, no. I said, you can't even defend your people. She says, I know. So here's what I'm going to do for you, okay? Here's what let me get my first battery. Shit, this is so funny. This is my battery-operated, beautiful clock. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool clock, and I hung it on my wall there in the little office, and before I brought it upstairs, I put a brand new, and the Mormons watching this will go, he got a bad battery. I didn't get a bad battery. It's a Duracell new battery. So I put it in my clock, and the hand started to move. But it didn't move around the clock. It stayed in one place and vibrated. And it's still doing that. It's the same time it was yesterday. So I put it on my wall to remind me. You know, Boyd K. Packer said in the last conference, the end is not near. Well, the end of the Mormon church might be near, but the end of the world isn't. So this is my Mormon clock. It lies. Tells the wrong time. It goes nowhere. It's like a hall that has a wall at the end of it. And it's typical of Mormons. It looks good, but it doesn't work. It looks good, but it don't work. So I leave it in my office to remind me of my days as a Mormon. That basically the time went by this slow, especially in sacrament meeting. This is how I felt. And when I would say to a bishop or a stake president, gee, I need some help, he would say, well, come on in when, when it's 12 o'clock. And it's always, geez, I can't take it. It's 9:45, and it's been 9:45 since you, and I do see the hand. It's moving. But it's going nowhere. That's the Mormon church. Okay, now this is funny, but I got something more funny, all right? Look at this. I feel like Carrot Top. Look at this. Is that the Russian phone from Obama to whoever over there now for nuclear war? It is. So this is the old Bell telephone. It weighs about 20 pounds. And you couldn't buy these. Back when I was a boy, Bell, it's like the Mormon church. It had a monopoly. You couldn't buy a phone. You had to buy it from Bell. And it was only a one phone system, the Bell system. Of course, no cell phones. This is how we communicated. So I looked at this, and I was talking to the salesperson at, and he was cool. He was at Desert Industries. And I said, well, does that phone work? He says, I don't know. I said, well, then how can you put it out here for sale? Anyone looking at it would assume the phone works. And he said, well, looking at it, it looks like it'll work to me. I said, well, is that the Mormon guarantee? He says, no. The Mormon guarantee is that if you buy that, you own it. Jeez. If that's not funny. This is a Deseret employee getting his paycheck from your tithing. He says, everything that's electrical, we plug in and make sure it's working. But batteries, you saw my clock. They don't test that. I tested it. The Duracell battery was more expensive than the clock. But at least the battery worked. The clock doesn't. So I said, hey, it's got a long cord on it. It doesn't look like it's damaged. That's cool. I'm going to take that home because I don't have a phone upstairs. So I had to screw around behind the couch there and find the hole and everything and plug it in. And by God, dial tone. Dial tone, hey! Finally, Desert Industries gave me something I can use. So we called it, and damn, it rings. The ringer is fine. Now, Jesus, this is so indicative of the Mormon church. This is the phone that they give all the members of the church and the general authorities. The red phone, because it's important crap if it's red. So I pick it up, and here's the dial tone. It's right there. This is the funniest church in the world. You can't call anyone, but they can call you. Jeez. This is the complaint phone for the Mormon church. They can call you and say, you need your home teaching. You need to get out on the welfare farm. You need to get to the temple. But if you call them, you get nothing. You get the damn Holy Ghost. I'm going nuts on this stuff. I'm going nuts. This is so indicative of the Mormon church. Clocks that don't work. Phones that they can call you, but you can't say a thing. You pick this phone up to call, you bow your head, and you say yes, and it still doesn't work. I'm going to have another heart attack. I can't take this organization. They think we are trying to destroy them. They don't look at themselves and go, you know what? We don't need an enemy. We're our own worst enemy. Look at this. They can't fix it. Now, let me, I'll never end. I'll never end because they turn out every day things that are so unbelievable and uncharacteristic of normal people. Normal people would test the damn phone. Now, Desert Industries, let me explain the rest of it to you for outside in Finland and South America, Peru, and other places that watch me sometimes. We have this big store, and I went by it in my car, and my radar detector goes crazy. They must have radar that goes to Europe. And my poor little wife, she is so sweet because she keeps trying to defend, but she finally now can't even keep a straight face. And I said, honey, why are they running radar at the Deseret store? Everything they have here is donated. How can you lose money if someone steals something donated? She says, well, I can see this is the Mormons. This is the Mormon, because she's still programmed. Well, I don't think it's Deseret Industries. I think there's a police car in the area. So I look around and say, honey, I don't see any police car. Do you want me to drive back by the door? No, no, don't drive back by. See, that's Mormons. They don't want to know the truth. They want to just believe the truth. So I try not to argue with her so much. And I can only record when she leaves the house. So it's a huge box store. And inside, now I have to admit, inside it's clean. And the clothes are washed and they're folded. You can get shoes in there. You can't get garments. Garments, the distribution center that used to be next to Desert Industries, is closed. They can't afford to run that anymore. So now you buy your garments in Utah at the Deseret bookstore. So while you're sitting picking your books out, you can buy garments with it. It's kind of like David's pantyhose and welding shop. Be that as it may. You go into Deseret, and the people working there, I'm going to have to say, they're very, very gentle and very, very kind people. Because most of them are mentally retarded. They're the best part of the Mormon church. The guy that told me he didn't think the phone was going to work, and he was right. He goes, if you buy it, you own it. That's the way it is in the Philippines. There's no warranty. And so my wife sticks up for the church, and she can see we paid $2 for the phone. You get what you paid for. And she sticks up for the phone, and she says, well, we can exchange it. I said, all right, let's go back and get our $2. No, we can't get our $2, but we can buy something else for $2. Then my whole house is full of shit for $2. None of it works. Just give me the $2. She says, you can't get money from the church. Man, ain't that a prophecy? Ain't that a prophecy? You can't get cash back, but you can get another phone for $2. It'll probably call, but it won't ring. You go in the store, and they do have some very reasonably priced old stuff. Now, not all of it is anciently old, but you know, you see a lot of Mormons who are old and they die and they give a dress out of the 20s. But there's some modern, and especially for kids, there's some things in there that you can get a kid's coat for $4, $5, and it's not new, but it's not all torn up or anything. And you can buy furniture, you can get chest of drawers, you can get a piano sometimes, and you never know what the inventory is going to be because all that inventory is donated by the rich Mormons in Utah. So they take their junk down to Desert Industries, and Desert Industries polishes it up and then puts it out onto the floor. And you can buy plants, you can buy air conditioners that don't work, and you can buy pictures and other kinds of household things. And so there's some good deals in Desert Industries, but I have to laugh my ass off going in there. They hire mostly retarded people. Now, the one guy that waited on us, he wasn't retarded. He was laying on the checkout counter. because he weighed 400 pounds. Now, I don't know if that's a handicapped person, but he could only stand up long enough to scan your stuff, and then he'd lay back down on the counter. But they're friendly. They're friendly, they're kind, and they're people that are not going to be real successful in life. And some of them, maybe it's their first job, and maybe they'll move out into society. And so I have to be serious about this part of my presentation, that there are some good things about Desert Industries. Buying shit there ain't good, but there's good people, and the church does try. I don't know how extensive, but the people in there are people who would not have a job out in the real world. And so that's good. That's good. I've worked with handicapped people my whole life, and that's a good thing that someone is trying to help them, not you know, the billions of dollars that the church has. So their inventory is free. The building is a non-profit church building, so they don't have to pay taxes on the building. They do have to pay the the employees, I forget if it's $5 or $6, whatever the minimum wage is, that's what those people get. And it gives them something to do, clean up the washing machines and, you know, do a couple things. So I wanted to let you know, in Finland and in Spain, you don't have this shit. We do. We get cheap plants. We get, and maybe you're lucky. You can't shop at Desert Industries. It's an experience. It's an experience. Now, let me tell you how else the welfare plan of the Mormon Church works. Everybody in the world says, see, the Mormons take care of themselves. God, if that isn't prophecy, the Mormon authorities take care of themselves. Six-figure incomes, Cadillacs, and Learjets. It ain't the Pope. It ain't the Pope machine. Anyway, we have, in this state and many other states, we have farms. And so the Mormons are blessed because we don't pay anybody anything except the prophet to talk to Jesus, okay? And so we have welfare farms. And when I was in California, we had, out in Lancaster, we had a peach farm, or an apple farm, maybe both. And then every Saturday, we would get an assignment in church that we were to be out on the welfare farm for so many hours. And man, they kept track of every minute that you were there. And I never could figure that out. Why was the church tracking who we were and the minutes? Well, now I know. When they say how much they've contributed in humanitarian funds, they take my time out on the welfare farm and bill me at $8 or $10 an hour as a farm worker, I guess, and then they put that in and mix it into their in-kind donations that we are helping poor people. I didn't know that, but I was being counted in as the humanitarian fund. And this goes all over the United States. If you're on a cattle ranch and you're branding cattle, you get paid $20 an hour on paper, so they give that to the government and to the world on their statistics of how much they pay in humanitarian aid, which it's nothing. It's less than 1% of their income. 99.5% of their income goes to Salt Lake City and the general authorities. So, the welfare farm was part of my assignment. Nothing I heard about. It's what I've seen and heard with my own ears. I go over there to Whole Weeds and pick up the fruit and put it in the baskets or whatever. Well, then we had the assignment, they have canneries, which is a factory that puts the fruit in the cans. And so I would sometimes be assigned to go to the cannery. Now, if that isn't a place for damn botulism and death in a can, I don't know what is. We did do a lot of Jell-O, and we did do, and this is a joke in the Mormon church, we did a lot of green Jell-O and a lot of green Kool-Aid, and we would get the fruit, and we'd have tables and water fountains there, and we'd cut the fruit up. And in those days, there was no rubber gloves. There was not a rubber glove unless maybe you were a proctologist. But and we were getting it. Maybe it should have been a proctologist glove. So I'm putting the fruit in the cans, and then the cans go through, and they actually have machines that can it. Now, now I'm going to be honest, because when you watch my shit, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie, exacerbate, or exaggerate. I have had cans of Deseret food. Their mashed potatoes are the greatest in the world. Their beef stew is wonderful. I've never had anything spoiled in a can from Desert Industries. That's the God's truth. And I've told you, I've been on welfare 2 or 3 times with them. But it's kind of like a slaughterhouse. Once you've seen us put fruit in a can, you'll never eat fruit in a can again. Well, that goes out to the Bishop's Storehouse. Now see, we have that because we're white. If you ain't white and you ain't in Utah, you don't have a cannery, you don't have a flour mill, and you don't have the Bishop's Storehouse. Now, when you're poor, you can go to the bishop in Utah. Now, Dallin Oaks went out into the Midwest of Utah, or in the Midwest of the United States, and he told the people out there, quit asking for welfare. They don't want to drive trucks to them anymore. They don't want that overhead and expense. But if you're in the Aryan area, you get to go to the Bishop's Storehouse. And old people, they always use old people because they don't want them to sit around and think how they've been screwed. So you go into the Bishop's Storehouse and you have this list. It's comprehensive. I mean, it's almost everything you get in Walmart, except a discount. So you have the meat on there. You can have so many pounds of meat. You can have so many pounds of flour, have so many pounds of fruit, so many milk. And you go in and you have a basket and they put it in boxes. They recycle their own boxes. And you hand them the slip. They check everything off and you go. And you put all that food in your trunk and bring it home. That isn't a bad deal. Nah, that ain't a bad deal if you're poor and you need some food. You got a big family, that's going to save you a couple $100 a week. It isn't a bad deal. If you're white and you live in Utah, it ain't a bad deal. Most of you watching, and I look at my demographics from all over the world, and you females, I'm so happy that I've got 20% females. I have 20% in the world, and I have 1% in Utah. The patriarchal order, they will not let their women even look at the internet. A sideline there, side note. So it's a good deal if you live in Utah and you get the welfare. Now again, I'm just telling you what's happened to me from the inside. When I got the food, the bishop would set me down and he'd say, now, Brother David, you need to repay the church for what you got. And I would say, you don't say this in the Mormon church. I said to the bishop, what about my tithing? 10% of my income, haven't I paid for this? No. He says, you're going to have to work 5 hours a week here at the church. We'll just give you a couple of little jobs so that you'll feel good. I said, Bishop, I'm going to feel a lot better trying to get a job and trying to work by the hour to support my family than the jobs you're going to give me. Well, what am I going to do here at the church? You go, well, you could mow the lawn. I said, yeah, but I'm not a landscape guy. Well, that doesn't matter. It's okay. I said, well, maybe you could be a janitor and clean the toilets. I go, well, Bishop, I went to BYU, so I didn't want to clean toilets. I spent my money down there, and I have a degree. Why can't I just go out and try to find a job in that spare time? No. Degrees from BYU, they teach you to be humble and to obey. So if I wanted more food for my family, then, you know, I'm on Welfare City there at the chapel putting stuff together. Now, they have seemed to move away from that. Now, and again, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm speculating because I haven't seen it as much. I still see it now and then that the bishops will say, well, you have to work for your welfare. We want to keep you, and the quote is always this, the evils of the dole. I can't remember what prophet said that, but he said, we want to keep our people from the evils of the dole. Well, they're keeping the Filipino people from the evils of the dole because they don't have any food. We don't send stuff over there. They have no Bishop's Storehouse. They have nothing. But they're brown. That makes sense. They're brown. So, I don't think they make you work as much anymore. And I could be wrong both ways. Maybe, I know they make you work some because I've seen it. With these eyes, I've seen it. The bishop saying, you know, you need to work. But it doesn't seem to be as prevalent as it once was. Because now we have a lot of dentists and doctors and attorneys out of work. and to make them clean the toilets, there's a little bit of a rebellion. So we have desert industries. We have food, clothes. We have, they'll pay the rent on an apartment if you're renting it. If you are buying it, they will not pay if you're buying. So you're out on your ass. They want home ownership, but they want you not to get equity in your house. Well, I wonder, now my daughter is a CPA from BYU, I wonder if that has anything to do with the tax code of the United States. They used to make house payments, but the IRS is on them like, you know, a bear in the forest. And so now they'll pay for rent because rent is deductible under charitable organizations and IRS laws. But if they pay for property that is owned by someone else, there's no deduction. So I guess Jesus came down and said to Brother Monson, by the way, don't pay for people in their own houses. The renters, we can deduct. And the homeowners, throw them out on their ass and their kids. We don't care. It doesn't matter. So I've seen them buy tanks of gas for people to get to work now and then. And I've seen them from time to time. You get the food. You get a list for desert industry. If you need a coat in the winter, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. If the coat doesn't have sleeves, it's better than what you had. So, I'm kidding. It has sleeves. So the welfare system of the church is vast in Utah, and it's good in Utah. But Utah are selfish people. They don't share. You look at the houses up on the hills and the Mercedes and the BMWs, and then you see the little Filipino woman that's 93 in 93-degree temperature, and she's walking and she can't get a drink. What about that thing where they go, what would Jesus do? I don't know. I'm atheist. Hate me if you want. I live a good life and I try to be a good person. Believe me. Going from Mormonism to atheism is a small jump. It's a small jump. So I try to be good. I don't need Jesus points. I don't care if there's a celestial kingdom. I don't even care if there's an afterlife. I want to sit here and do something that helps me and maybe will help somebody else. And I don't expect Jesus to do crap. And I do get a little bit of hate mail. And I have to admit, the hate mail that I get from Mormons is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And you know how to get rid of a Mormon criticizing you? Because anti-Mormon, their definition is anything that doesn't agree with the Mormon church. It's not anti against the church, it's factual and allows people to make up their mind, but they call it anti-Mormon. Now, I don't know what you would say, but I'm not going to think, from my experience in the Mormon church for 50 years, that watching these videos is something your bishop Jesus, wants you to do. And so when the Mormons write me and say, well, you're welcome back in after a year, and I haven't been excommunicated, so they're confused from the beginning, or why are you this, or, you know, I get these things. And I write to them just 1 or 2 short sentences because I want to be courteous. I'm not angry at Mormon people. I'm not angry at the Mormon church. I think it's, the homie show. I think it's a 3-ring circus, and hey, if people want to dance, be mimes, I don't care. So I say to them in my responses to the email, does your bishop know you're watching me? They never write again. Never. I've never had a second response when I have said, does your bishop know that you're listening to me? Because they know they will be excommunicated. They know they will be punished. They know that they're not allowed to hear this stuff. This phone works. And we have a burning bosom in our bosom. It doesn't work. That's the facts. You make your own mind up. $2? Did I get ripped? No, I was disappointed. Did I have to carry it upstairs? Yes. You decide. If you're Mormon and you live in Utah, you can get your tithing money back. You're the only people that can get tithing money back, because if you go on welfare, you can deduct the food and the rent and maybe some gas for your car. Now, they won't do that for very long. They might do it 2 or 3 months at the most. But they warn you right from the beginning, Brother David, you got to get a job. You're in charge of your family. It's not our responsibility to raise your family. We are only a safety net so your kids don't go hungry. So it's not long term, it's short term, and the bishop can be very arbitrary and capricious. He can say to you, no, you're a dentist, you should have saved some money. This is your problem. Cash in some of your stock. You may get another bishop who's young and inexperienced, and he writes out the whole list. You get a broom, you get a dustpan, you get stuff over there to run a house, a cookbook. There's all kinds of stuff at the bishop's storehouse. So, know the truth. If you're Mormon, you live in Utah, you got a good deal. You can get some of your tithing money back. Now, can non-members use the bishop's storehouse? What do you think? If you're black or you're homeless or you're brown, do you think they can line up at the front of the bishop's storehouse and maybe get a chicken or 1 can of beef stew? That's the sad part about it. It's really the sad part of the Mormon church. They will help someone who is a baptized member. Now, I want to be honest. There are people that are inactive, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes inactive, especially elderly people, they will let go to the storehouse, or they'll write an order for Desert Industries so you can go in and get your stuff there for free. But it is meant for the white people of the, Utah corridor here from Idaho to Provo to get free stuff. The rest of you and the rest of the world, your chapels suck. Your transportation system sucks. We have some transportation abilities here in Utah. And you can't go to Desert Industries, and you can't go to the bishop's storehouse. So, those are the facts. You decide. I'm not here to pull anyone out of the Mormon church. I'm not here to criticize anything I haven't seen or heard. I'm not really criticizing. I'm just saying these are the facts. These are the true facts I've experienced as an older person, 64 years old, in the Mormon church for 50 years, a temple worker, never excommunicated, never having affairs, never having any kind of disciplinary counsel. The Mormons don't believe that. They go, oh, he was probably excommunicated. Oh, he probably had sexual affairs. Does this face look like it could have sexual affairs? No. But to a Mormon, yes. Don't listen to their words and their mouth. Listen and look. Look at the clock. It's never going to end. Mormonism goes nowhere. The time goes nowhere. You enter it when you're 20. It's the same when you're 80. Thank you for listening, and thank you for listening to my rant.